Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all had a refreshing tea break. Before we begin our next session, let's take a quick recap of the previous lecture. To give us a concise briefing on the talk delivered by Dr. Antonio on vending machines and university students' consumption trends, I would like to invite Ms. Uma on stage.
Good morning to one and all present here. So now I'll be giving a brief summary on vending machines and university students. Uh, this research explored how vending machine influence students' eating habits, particularly in the university setting across the space in Portugal. To begin with, vending machines play a major role in modern food consumption. In Europe, the vending machine industry generates around 23.4 billion euros per year, with approximately one machine for every 31 citizens. These machines are commonly found in schools, workplaces, and health centers, offering a wide range of products. However, the issue arises when we look at the nutritional quality of the available foods. Most vending machines are stocked with a high energy, low nutrient food such as snacks, cold drinks, and sweets. Only a small percentage offer truly healthy options. The study compared students' behavior in Spain and Portugal because of their similar food culture and historical ties. Notably, the Portuguese influence on the Canary Island food tradition. The result reveals some interesting trends. More than half of the respondents, around 50.8%, reported using a vending machine once a week or less. Though this rate increased among the overweight and obese students, among obese users, two-thirds, which is 66.7%, were frequently users daily or several times a week. When comparing the two countries, Portugal had more frequent users, around 40.6%, than Spain, which is 22.7%. Notably, 28.6% of the obese participants in Portugal said they often replace a main meal with a vending machine food. Despite these health concerns, both Portuguese and Spanish students rated the vending industry positively, with an average satisfaction rating of 6 out of 10. Encouragingly, fruit was the most requested item to be added in the vending machine. Over 42% of the students wanted healthier options available. The findings highlighted a clear message: while vending machines are convenient, there is a pressing need of healthier alternatives. Universities should promote policies that make nutritious food more accessible in these machines to support students' overall well-being. In conclusion, this study urges researchers and policymakers worldwide to take similar initiatives, which is to access the vending machine food environment and implement changes that encourage the healthier consumption habits among the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Uma, for the well summarized review. Now, moving ahead with our second lecture of the day titled Green Restaurants Assessment, a tool for evaluation and classification of restaurants considering sustainability indicators. The session will be taken by none other than Dr. Antonio Rapso, who will help us explore how sustainability can be measured and promoted within the food service industry. Let's welcome Dr. Rapso to take us through this fascinating topic. Over to you, sir.
Hello once again, and here we are for our second session of the day. And in this second session, we will discuss about this interesting tool, interesting from my point of view, of course, that is the Green Restaurants Assessment, the GRAS tool that allows to evaluate and classify the restaurants considering some sustainability indicators. This tool is available in this paper. Then, if you want to further analyze, see, and consult, it is available in this open access paper. And why to validate and to construct the kind of a tool like this. So the high demand for away from home meals and the increase in the number of restaurants has increased the production of meals. This is a fact, and with large waste generation and use of various natural resources significantly impacting the environment. So the meals production must be in the context of social responsibility and sustainability, not just concerning the quality of the offered food. Food services are considered the least sustainable among those economic sectors. So we should be responsible as food researchers, as food and health professionals, to make the things change. And consumer awareness has expanded, and this is important, and green consumption modes that include the environmental awareness in purchasing behavior are becoming very, very popular. So the researchers have pointed out that green restaurants have been increasing, and consumers are increasingly willing to spend more money on green restaurants. We can say green restaurants that are environment-friendly restaurants that have this concern regarding sustainability and environment. And that's it. The green restaurants are based on environmental management, improving service quality and products, generating more significant social, environmental, and economic impacts with reduced environmental damage. What was the purpose of the study we conducted? So we based on that green restaurants are the basis on the implementation of environmental management, and they are closely related to quality management through a set of instruments and programs. In this study, we have the goal to build an instrument, this tool, classify and adopting cutoff points and classify restaurants using traffic light scores. The so well known traffic light nutritional traffic light, and these scores are from the sustainability assessment checklist validated in Brazilian Portuguese for restaurants, and the questionnaire classification validation was performed using a cross-sectional study that we conducted in a convenience sample of 97, almost 100 restaurants, 97 ones, and it has 76 items, and all these items are based on yes, no, or not applicable answers when compared with sustainability activities. The instrument score was obtained by assigning 1 point to each yes item, and each section received a score, and the total score was provided to the restaurant from the 3 sections when we sum the all points obtained in these 3 sections. And the international instruments used in the checklist developed in stage were checked to assist in the cut-off points determination. So the score for the restaurants with low adherence to sustainable practices or red seal ranges from 0 to 40%. So this is related with the red color. The restaurants with medium adherence to sustainable practice or the yellow seal that ranges between 40 and 75%. And finally, the restaurants with good adherence to these sustainable practices were green sealed with more equal or more than 75%. The instrument is so divided into these 3 sections. The first one related with water, energy, and gas supply. The second with the menu and food waste. And the third with waste reduction, construction materials, chemicals, employees, and social sustainability. The percentages must be reached in all sections. And we didn't find any green or sustainable restaurants through the checklist application in the test sample. And almost half of the restaurants, 47.4%, had the yellow seal, with higher scores in a section 2 regarding the menu and food waste. The IMATs last scored were the company that has goals for the rational use of water, and the company achieved zero greenhouse gas emissions with proven partnerships. The company has commented the problem to reduce carbon emissions in towels or uniforms that are made of organic or sustainable materials. So, what can we find? Can we find here? What is demonstrated? It is demonstrated that the attention points and improvements in the analyzed restaurants, and we really hope that the construction and validation of the checklist, of this checklist, and the scores determination, this scores determination, have contributed, of course, for a broadening discussion on sustainability in food services and serve as a starting point for future research. And of course, other researchers worldwide can use this checklist and can adapt and validate this checklist to their regions. And these strategies, like we use, are fundamental to improve our understanding of the subject and expand the knowledge of nutritionists who deal directly with this economical sector, and to see if the restaurants are having sustainability activities and have these concerns regarding sustainability. So, from the results which we found that no one of these 97 restaurants were sealed with green. This is the visual mark of the instrument of the tool. So on each classification about restaurants with good adherence to the sustainable practices, we sealed with green, the medium adherence practices with yellow, and the low practices with the red. And as I mentioned before, it has 76 items divided into these three sections. The first section, water, energy, and gas supply. The second one, menu and food waste. And the third one, waste reduction, construction materials, chemicals, employees, and social sustainability. And when we see the results, the percentage classification, the overall score, and the sections of the evaluated restaurants, of the 97 evaluated restaurants, we see that in total, more than half were considered non-sustainable, with the results less equal or less 40%. And the best results we found was in the section 2 regarding the menu and food waste. But in section 1 and 3 the results were quite worse. So no one of the restaurants were considered in total sustainable or to have sustainability practices. Here we have the depicted results by each question. This is all the questions we have in the tool, and here we have the frequency and percentage of performed items by each section among the evaluated food services, and we can highlight there, for example, if the water reservoir is adequately kept covered and conserved, that is free from cracks, leaks, infiltration. In this case, the results were very positive. But in the others, for example, the company has documented for the assessment and inspection of energy use for energy conservation. Here we have only found 11 restaurants with a positive assessment. The temperature of refrigerators, cooling chambers, freezers are adequate and having monetary record. Here, most of them were positively assessed. However, for example, when we asked if the company has documented targets for reducing the rise of liquefied petroleum gas, or if the company uses biogas, we see that this is not true for the most of the companies. Only one uses this alternative, this biogas. Now in section 2, here we found, this was the section where we found more positive results. However, for example, in the question number 7, 2.7, that was at least 50% of the fruits and vegetables that the company buys are certified organic, and only 7 of all the restaurants. This was true. This was a fact. And another thing is, for example, in the question the question 13, the company doesn't use ingredients or products with transgenic ingredients in its composition or in the production of meals, and only 27 out of 97 establishments were positively evaluated in this regard. On the other end, for example, we see that almost all 83, the company offers separate menu or substitutions to meet diet restrictions, such as gluten-free preparations, vegetarian cuisine, vegan menu, or preparations to meet religious restrictions. Here we find that more than 85% of the evaluated restaurants offer this kind of menu. So this section was very positive results, at least at this point. In section 3, the results were once again not so good as expected. For example, we have here that the company separates recyclable materials, that is selective collection. This is a topic very discussed, and very campaigns and interventions to talk about the importance of this. However, only, and it seems high, but it is not so high, 60%, 66% of the restaurants answered positively. The company limits packaging and orders products in bulk to avoid waste generation. Only 38 out of the 97 restaurants showed this positively. Keeping on with the analysis of this section 3, I also highlight the company use recycled paper for their tasks in the daily. Now, most of them, now only 12%. The company uses lamps, accessories, or furniture made from recovered or recycled materials, or those provided with an environmental product declaration to improve environmental impact. Only 20%. The paints used by building are environment sustainable, only 26%. The tablecloths and our employees' uniforms are made of organic and environment sustainable materials, only 9%. So a lot of items that we see here that are not so positively assessed, and of course this is reflected in the final result. This is another important point, this question 26. If the company purchases one or more products from a charitable foundation or social enterprise that provides social impact, it is also one of the challenges and one of the recommendations we made, and only 12% answered positively. If the company donates to food banks or charities to avoid wasting food from products suitable for consumption, we have already talked about this when we had the session about food waste. One of the possible ways to the leftovers is, for example, to give these leftovers, when of course they are still safe for consumption, to these charities, associations, and to people that have not opportunity to buy their foods. But with this evaluation, you see that only 19 out of 97 of the evaluated restaurants do this. So there is still a long way, so we can have sustainable practices in our establishments, and that the role involved can act as sustainable stakeholders, sustainable, in this case, sustainable restaurants. So the adoption of traffic lights intends the main goal is to easily demonstrate the relationship between the number of sustainable activities and their colors, with red being an alert sign. It's like when you are in the traffic and you see the red color in the traffic light is not to cross over, it is not to pass that border. When you have the light, to be conscious and to be prepared to stop, and to the green, we can go through and we can go on that direction. So the idea is similar when we have this traffic light associated with this tool, and we have also this traffic light. I don't know if you have here, but in Portugal and in some countries, we have the traffic light associated to the label present in the foods we can buy from the supermarket, and it is based on nutritional content of these foods. For example, a food item with high content of fat, of sugar, of sodium is we label it with this red light and we want to say that people be careful. You shouldn't take this food item very frequently. Then we have also the medium term with the yellow light that you can consume more frequently than the red, of course, but not so much as we have the green light. That are the foods that for their nutritional composition you can include more frequently in your diet. And people, when go to the market, can easily make their choices based on these colors and not to see the numbers of the nutritional facts of the list of ingredients that most of the people have not the knowledge to understand that or have the patience to see the numbers and see the recommendations. And with this system of colors, green, yellow, and red, can easily take their choices of what they will buy, what they will incorporate more in their diets. This is the same idea of implementation of this traffic light into the restaurants and to label the restaurants with green if they have good, the best sustainable practices. The yellow is related to the medium term, and the red that the sustainable practices are not implemented in that establishment. Yes, and this is what I am saying, that the model is already used in the food sector through nutritional traffic lights on labels, which allow a better understanding of the label information and help to guide for healthier choices. This was the very first study developed or validated tool for evaluating classifying restaurants, and this we conducted this study in Brazil. And the Green Restaurants Assessment is a straightforward way to classify and identify the restaurants with good adherence to sustainable practices, with medium adherence, and with low or not at all adherence to this sustainable practice by a system of colors, green, yellow, and red, respectively. The traffic lights are used to demonstrate the sustainable activities carried out in restaurants using colors, and these results showed the lack of sustainable activities in the evaluated Brazilian federal districts restaurants. In these federal districts, it's mainly near the capital of Brazil, Brasilia, where the study was conducted, and this reinforced the importance of covering the three sustainable indicators. One of the goals, of course, is to spread out this study and to carry out similar studies to this and the implementation of these two in other regions. And it will be interesting to see if the establishments located in different regions of the world have or not sustainable practices in their in their activities. So, we hope that the construction and validation of the checklist and its course determination contributed to broadening the discussions on sustainability in food services and serve as a starting point for future research. And strategies like these are very fundamental to improve the understanding of the subject and then to expand knowledge of nutritionists who deal directly with this economic sector. Here we see restaurants associated with eco-environmental activities, and we see that vegetarian, vegan restaurants and healthy food restaurants are more related with this concern with the environment when we see big chains and fast food chains restaurants that present the lowest scores. Then we also have that from that the consumers, the customers expect in a green restaurant. So when we say this is a green restaurant, what is associated from the perspective of the consumers, and they see that they have a waste reduction, that they save in the energy and water sources to produce the meals, that the recycled supplies are used in the restaurant, that support of local market and local products that use the food miles. This represents the distance that the food products need to be covered in the transportation from their supplier to the restaurant, that will be the shortened as possible. And of course, the environmental certification to local or international standards. This is the point of view of the consumers when they see a restaurant labeled as sustainable and a restaurant that implements sustainable practices. This is another interesting study that I would like to highlight: the resourcefulness of chefs and food waste prevention in fine dining restaurants, another perspective from other kind of food establishments. And in these restaurants, what is highlighted in this study is that food waste prevention among these chefs of these specific restaurants is explored through the lens of practice theory, and the chefs understand the meaning of food waste along its implications, however, lack competence of resourceful cooking and storage, and corporate rules discourage chefs from preventing food waste. And dedicated training, it is also important in this sector, and the dedicated training to chefs in resourcefulness and resourceful cooking is also required. So this is not only a problem for canteens, for social establishments. No, it is very most important in all the sectors of establishments that sell food. So I think this is a very important topic also to evaluate, not only to say yes, we have to reduce our waste, we have to start to utilize another different kinds of materials in the infrastructures, in the utensils we use in our kitchen to make the preparation of the foods, to storage everything. But it is important to assess, it is important to evaluate in a quantitative way, and this is one of the intentions and one of the goals of this tool is also to harmonize and to evaluate, to find a system that can evaluate the establishments according to their sustainability practices, if they are more or less or not at all sustainable restaurants. And from this evaluation, we find out that they are not so sustainable as we wish at all. And this is a very recent study that was carried out 2 years ago, where sustainability is already very well discussed, and the general population and the consumers are already very honest and interested in these topics. But in the practice, we see that most of the establishments simply don't accomplish these goals. So what can we do to make things change, and how important are the development and implementation of these tools to label or to certify the establishment with a green, yellow, or red color? And I don't know. Let me know your thoughts, and let me know your experience. And if you have here in India, not similar to I believe not to evaluate the establishments, but for example, when you go to the supermarket and buy some food item, if you have this system of traffic light, nutritional traffic light, or a system of colors to label each item in green, yellow, and red with this analog to the traffic lights we have in the roads, to the cars. If you have something similar in your food distribution system, in your retails, in your markets, to make the choices easier for the communities, for the consumers, please let me know and share your thoughts and your questions. This was not carried out in Europe, okay? But this study, we evaluated this. This is one a collaboration study that was made in the federal district in the main urban area of the capital of Brazil, Brasilia. And validated, of course, for that region. Do you know any similar system like this here in India or in neighborhoods that you have this easier label of the products that make the choices easier for the population, or not at all?
Yes, in India, we have that green and red labels so that we can differentiate between that green is vegetarian and if red is there non-vegetarian. Like we also have labels, certain labels, nutritional labels also we have so that we can clarify the nutritional content of the product.
But that nutritional labels are based on numbers, on the or colors.
No, no, not on colors, on numbers. Like this much calorie,
Yes,
this
yes.
much
So yeah, also that.
energy, this much calorie, protein, carbohydrate, this much gram is there in this product.
The idea of this is not applied to the food items. It is not to substitute the numbers, the nutritional content, the nutritional declaration that we also have, and it is mandatory from the context of the European legislation. This is to make the choices easier. A part of the system of colors in the same label, in the same food product, food item, we have the nutritional facts, the nutritional content per 100 grams. We have the content of proteins, of fats. So the idea of this is not to substitute. It is to make the choices easier. Yes, yes. Important to clarify.
Yes. We have only the labels of colors for vegetarian,
Yes,
non-vegetarian.
only to differentiate food item if it is acceptable for vegetarians or not, if they have some source of meat product.
We have that color labels for them. And for nutritional labeling, we have the numbers there.
Okay.
No color, no such colors are there, only the numbers are there.
Okay.
And any additive is added, that additive is also regarded in the terms of numbers like E144.
Yes, yes.
Certain numbers are assigned
Yes,
for
that is international standard. Yes, we have also that. But I was talking about this system of colors, so you don't have it, and you have already heard about this the utilization of this system in other countries, in other regions, or not? This is the first time you are hearing about this. It is the first time.
Yes, yes.
And as the first time you are hearing about it, if you think a little bit and reflect a little bit, you think this is good? We have here only advantages, or you can find some drawbacks in the application and in the using of this system. For example, when you go to the supermarket and when you have, for example, a package of what else you cookies, of meat, what else you want to buy, and you see there the red color or you see the green color. This is an advantage, can be an advantage or not, or can have also some drawbacks. And which drawbacks can we associate and see in this system?
For here in India, it is of great advantage. Like here, most of the people are vegetarian, so they don't prefer even egg also in their food. So special mention is there that we have cakes available here. So special mention line is there that this product contains egg or this product is
Okay.
eggless. So it is of great advantage over in India that these colors are mentioned so that people can wisely make their choices, either they want to go for vegetarian or non-vegetarian.
Yes, because these colors is not related with the vegetarian content or not, if it has meat or not. This is related only with the nutritional content, and it is established, for example, that food item that has a higher or a great amount of fat, it cannot be labeled as green. We must label as yellow or red because people must consume it in less frequency. That is this is not nothing to do. We can have red to vegetables products or to meat products. This is nothing to do with. We have also some information about if it has or not animal source ingredient, but this system is nothing to do with food item is available or is accepted for vegetarians or non-vegetarians. This is related with the nutritional composition, and it doesn't substitute the nutritional facts, the nutritional information that is also presented in the label of the item. What I want to know is if you think that we have only advantages from the point of view of label a food item with green, yellow, or red. To say what you think people will act and will think if see a food item with green.
Like it is new concept that it is in your paper or presentation, it is related to the nutritional content. So here in India it is a new concept, like we only see the colors for the vegetarian and non-vegetarian, like we see the labels in terms of numbers as the nutritional concept, not in the that like this color indicates this much of
Yes.
nutrition. So it is basically new for us. But if it is conducted over here, then obviously it is of like advantageous to the people na? Some people don't know how to read the labels also. So if they are going like the generational gap is there na, if old people are going for the supermarket, so we can say if this label is containing this color, you can buy it. And if this
You
label
point
is
you point down to a very relevant question. That is what is the people's perception for that, and for something that is quite new, and you are accustomed to relate the green color for vegan products and the red color that have something of meat. First of all, we must to teach the people how to interpret, how to learn about that information that is quite new, because only to introduce this system in the products that are available in the market, perhaps people will not interpret it in the same way that I want that I interpret, and they will make wrong decisions based on wrong interpretations from what they read in the label. So that is very important to highlight the urgent and the importance of prepare the population, educate the population, explain how this works and what it means that you find the green color, the yellow color, or the red color in the labels of the foods they will buy. Another important thing is that the fact that you see the green, that doesn't mean that you can eat the amount you want every day and with no concern about it. And that must be very well explained to the people. And the red doesn't mean you can even touch on that food item. This must be very very clarified to the population, and then we should have to find some standards and some standardization to how to establish that food is red or green or yellow, because this is not standardized, and some brands make it from themselves, and there isn't this is not regulated, this is not on legislation you can adopt or not. And of course the criteria we adopt and the brands adopt to make a food item being green, yellow, or red is not sometimes so well established, and we can find, for example, I have already seen some cornflakes from a specific brand in the market, plenty of sugar, and you see the green color on them. Who established that? Based on what? So, what is the values that you found adequate to label it as green and others as red? So, this standardization would be very very important for not make people make wrong choices. But the explanation to the communities to how to interpret these signs, it is very very relevant. And in this case, green doesn't mean you can eat with no problem every time you want and the amounts you want, and red you can even buy or touch on that one per year. So this is very important because with no explanation and nothing, what people will associate to traffic light, and red means stop, forbidden, not to touch, not to buy. And green you can go through with no problem. You can go everywhere you want. So But the interpretation should not be exactly like this when you are talking about food, because food items have a lot of components. These are only based, this assessment, on the content of food. They have in fat, soy, salt, protein, but it is not so easy to make people interpret it in the most appropriate manner. Of course, it's easier if you only have the nutritional facts numbers, and people, when go shopping, are not paying attention to the nutritional numbers for each. Of course, if you have a color in the front package of the food item, you'll see, oh, this is red. Perhaps I will not buy too much of this. I will not consume too much of this. Oh, this is green, not a problem. You can put more than one. You can. It's easier, and people don't have much time to spend one day or one afternoon or one morning in the supermarket. We can make this message in an easier way to the communities. This is good, of course. This can have advantage, but then we have the not so good thing related to it. That is the wrong interpretations that may occur by the populations, and we have to make some intervention sessions and explain this to the populations, and of course the standardizations to establish what is yellow, what is green, what is red, because it is not admissible that the own brands make this evaluation, and of course some products they want to label it as green, another as red, and then when we compare the numbers, we can ask, so why this is red and why this is green, and we find some discrepancies in these labels, because there is no standardization, there is no legal values determined for consider, for example, a product that has more than 25% of fat, we have to consider it as red. We don't have that to our 20 or to our 30. We don't have that. This is defined and established for each brand. So in some cases, we find some discrepancies in the labels and in the colors we have in the market, and this can make wrong decisions by the communities.
So we can say that if we are introducing something new, so we need to first educate the people so that like they don't think about the signals that green we can go, we can buy it in
Yes,
abundant
because the
amount.
very the most the easiest is that the people make the association direct to the red light, to the green light that's in the traffic. Red stop, green go through with no problem. This is how they will interpret, and with reason, because nobody explained there what this means applied to the food.
And next thing is that we if they are introducing something new, they should standardize it so that
Yes.
there are no discrepancies in that. Everything which is added to the product should be labeled or mentioned on the product so that people can trust and eat them
Yes.
without any
These
harm.
interventions in the community is very important, because the introduction of information, more information, and what information in the product, that is can be very interesting. But if people are not awareness and they have not the knowledge to interpret and to read, it will serve for nothing. You can put there, if you can't read, if you don't know how to read, if I give you a very beautiful text, you don't know what is there. I can put very valuable information on that paper, on that text, but if you don't know to read, don't know how to read, that is not for nothing.
That
It's the
it would
same.
be
This is right the same.
then it would be of no use obviously if you are not able to read it how
Yes,
much
yes,
beautiful they have
yes.
labeled on that, then it is of no use. So if something new is coming, then that should be educated to the people that this means this means this, so that they can make the better choices rather than like blindly picking up something from the supermarket or anything else.
Yes, yes. We
Yes.
have to educate. We have to learn. That is the most important thing. We can think. We can find some strategies, some tools, some new ideas to incorporate on the labels. But not only do this must be combined with clarifying sessions, education sessions, to be sure that people know how to interpret, how to read the information we include on the labels. Otherwise, they can be still making wrong choices based on wrong readiness, on wrong interpretations of the information, of the systems, of the colors we include there. That is the point.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My question is, in what ways, how can this model be applied to the local food businesses or small scale food businesses with limited resources?
With limited resources into the further to the
Local food business, just small scale businesses, food business.
local food. Yes, that is an interesting question because this will require, of course, evaluation. I don't know how is the general panorama and the legislation of food here in India, but in Portugal, even if it is local or not, all foods that are served must be accompanied by nutrition facts, must be accompanied with the nutritional information. So if we think about the costs, is to find some standardization or agency that will regulate and that will make this transposition of the numbers to colors. Of course, if here in your country it is not mandatory to have on the labels, I don't know, to have on the labels these nutritional facts, and you have to implement it and to have to carry out laboratory analysis to determine which is the content of nutritional composition of that food, that can be more expensive and of course more difficult to implement a system like this. I don't know. This is also a question I have. It is mandatory here in India that all food products that are sold to the people be present this nutritional information or not? No. There isn't specific regulatory issues or legislation in accordance with the presence of nutritional facts in the labels.
FSSAI.
It is or not?
Yes, there is FSSAI standard protocol.
Yes, it is mandatory. So if it is mandatory, I think it is easier to harmonize and establish a system like this. But then, of course, it's not only to make this transposition numbers to colors. The explanation, the education, it is very, very important, very relevant. Thank you.
So,
Hello.
as far as I'm aware, we don't have such indicators in India currently. But as an example, like if we were to book a trip on Google and we go to any travel website, they mention how many carbon footprints this particular journey will involve. But when we make decisions, we are only looking at the cost or the convenience of our travel. We never really make our decision based on that carbon footprint parameter. So maybe as an example, even if they put this green yellow and green yellow red traffic, I don't know how much it would be practical.
Of course, if you don't explain, if you don't motivate people and how to read, how to interpret, it can be so practical, or can be worse, that not so practical, can lead to wrong interpretations and to wrong and result in wrong choices from the people. Of course, the simple act of attribute the color to the label of a specified food, I have serious doubts that can work for itself. This must be accompanied by other actions. And also in the restaurants. Okay, we labeled the restaurants in green, yellow according to their practices. But if we explain the restaurants how they can change their practices to become more sustainable and to make other choices, of course it works in a different way. The same in the supermarket, not only to include the colors and to attribute the colors to each food item. This must be combined by other kind of interventions, implementation of programs, education, to make people know how to associate the colors to their choices. But of course, the same like in the traffic, when you see the red light, and I ask if aren't there any vehicles that go through even with the red. Of course, there are, and they are fine or not. But then it is up to the people to know what to do. The drivers know that they should stop in the road, but we see some of them also cross away. It's the same. We can make this this analog to the food choices. But at least we have the obligation to explain very well and to educate very well the populations, the people, how to interpret this, and not only to implement the colors and put the colors in the pamphlets and see what happens. Let's see how the people will learn interpret this. This is not so good, not so advantageous. So we have to, at the same time, or even before implementing this color system, to explain, to educate the communities about how they should interpret this information.
So with respect to the checklist that you mentioned, so like practically if we were to try exploring using that here, like one of the first question was water conservation, and we checked through the water meter.
This checklist should be, of course, validated to the place, to the region, and according to the habits where it will be applied. And this was validated for Brazil. I'd like to highlight that again. Of course, if I want to evaluate Indian food establishments, restaurants, first of all, we should think on the items. If all of these items make sense to be evaluated or applied directly to the Indian environment, and perhaps, or for sure, I can say that some of them should be replaced for other items. This is important to highlight. I can't apply directly this checklist to Indian restaurants. That is important. The first of all is to see which of these items can be adopted. Another, we should adapt. Another, delete, and then others we should include for new. So this is the first thing, and not to bring the checklist directly applied to the Indian, not to the States or to the Portuguese context.
So if I ask your advice, if we don't have a water meter,
you don't have water?
If we don't have a water meter to calculate how much water is being consumed, is there any indirect way to calculate? Because you mentioned 10 liters per meal. Is there any way that we can indirectly calculate the water consumption in that restaurant or that establishment?
It is not easy, of course, but we are thinking the resources we have in that place and what is reasonable and not regarding the consumption, and of course that will also depend on the activities led in that establishment. Because one thing is the use of some amount of water to produce this amount of food, and another thing is to use the same amount of water to produce the double or the triple amount of food. So this must be studied, depends on the context and of course the establishment.
So one more question, why didn't you do this in Portugal? Why did you do this only in Brazil?
Because this is an international collaboration. This is a work that I collaborated, but I was not the main supervisor. This was supervised from my colleagues in Brazil, from the University of Brasilia, and since I have collaborated on 4 years, so I contributed with my expertise to this work. And one of the steps we would like to do, of course, and we are thinking, is to implement it in Portugal and then to compare the results.
And so can we use this paper to use that tool to explore its usage here?
Yes, of course. Here and in other contexts, this is one of the further directions we point out in our conclusions, is to make this tool also applied in other environments, in other regions, and then of course compare the studies. It's like, for example, the eating content scale that is validated, started with the SATER scale in the United States, but now we have already validated in several countries, in Turkey, in Brazil. So that is one of the points, to compare and validate it to different countries, different regions, and compare the results. Of course, you can work on them. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
So my question is regarding the checklist. So are they asking the question directly from the employees of the restaurants?
If you are questioning directly the employees, yes, of course, it passes by that. If they, on their daily activities, if they are sustainability practices, that's one of the points of the section one or two, if I don't remember, yes, but is to see how in their daily work they implement sustainable practices or not. Yes, of course, it is considered the materials of their clothes. That is also responsibility from the establishment. But all of this is assessed, and then we have the total score, and it will comprises all of these aspects. Yes.
And were there a measure to double check the information to avoid false information?
To double check.
Yes, like did they check the answers if they are telling the truth or not?
Yes, but some of these, of course, we answer, but then we have the visual content and see if this is really true and have the correspondence to the reality. This is not only to question them; it is also to evaluate in local, in situ.
Sorry, I did not get the last line.
This evaluation is also to make it in situ, in local, to observe, not only ask and based on what they answer. Then we have to check and we go to these 97 restaurants in local, in person.
So they checked the
Yes.
restaurant kitchen and
Yes.
everything. Okay. Thank you.
Microphone.
Sir, even in in-house establishment in a university, if we go and ask them that we would like to check this, they usually politely refuse. So how did they
So, but that restaurants are not involved in the study. If they are involved in the study, they accept the conditions and they are informed in a very early stage how will this work.
Was there anything given to them that if you participate, something that kind of?
No, because they want to know if they are using sustainable practices or not. It is also of their interest to see if they are in the good way or not and what they can do to become better, because then of course they know their punctuations are in the different aspects that they are well and other that they are not so well, and we recommend some modifications they need to do to become better. So it is of their interest. Of course, there are establishments that are not interested in participate. That's that's true. But in this, we assessed, of course, all of them knew the rules and knew that they participate in this, and they were interested in know their results. And of course, another thing that we could do is to make this evaluation once again and see if they improved these results, because now you know that you have this punctuation and you have the punctuation of 40 points. Let's see, in 3 months, in 1 year, I don't know, in a period of time, reasonable period of time, if you made the necessary changes to become better. And in last year I obtained 45 points, and now, for example, I reached 75. And I'm considered sustainable. I received the green light. I changed from red to green, or not, or it is the same. I didn't do nothing, and I am still working to make things change. So this would be, of course, interesting to see if there is any kind of evolution or not. It's the same when we go to a restaurant or a food establishment. We make an hygiene assessment system, a checklist to evaluate the hygienic conditions and the good manufacturing practice, good hygiene practices, if they are accomplished or not with the regulations, and we punctuate in 70 points out of 100. But then you want to see in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, if they become better and they learn with that evaluation and they made any modifications to become better and see if they have a higher punctuation than 3 months before. It's like the same. That is important. That is monitoring. That is controlling. It is not only to give the color or to give this punctuation and that's all. No, it would be important also to keep on assessing, to keep on verifying, monitoring, to make things getting better. I have no interest in seeing that in 100 restaurants, none of them was considered green, was considered to have good sustainable practices. The idea is in the future, make a new evaluation in the same establishments and see in each point if they improved or not. And if not, the reasons for not achieving that improvement. This is important for sure. And this is important not only for the researchers, not only for the regulatory that we assess, but mainly for the restaurant, for the establishment. But of course, not at all see the things like that and keep want to do the things as they want, and they don't care about sustainability. There are establishments with that. I don't care about it. My business is working. I still earning money with this. I don't want to know nothing about sustainability. I will not implement nothing new. I will not invest nothing. I will not change everything. So that will depend, of course, but with the also the awareness, the changing minds of the demand and the demands of the consumer nowadays, and all these things and all these discussions about the sustainable development goals, sustainability issues, the concerns about the limited animal-based resource and how important it is to make substitutions to plant-based foods, of course. It is of interest for the restaurants, for the food establishments, food companies to adopt some of these new food behaviors, food choices, food products, and make it available to the populations because in theory they will buy more and they will get more frequently to the restaurant. That is the main goal of the restaurants, to sell more, to have more customers, more clients, and to make more money. But of course, some of them don't see on that way and are satisfied with the earnings they have, and they don't want to make any kind of change or investment, and don't care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is that are there any points assigned to any restaurant that if some restaurant is getting these much points within the limits, then it will be assigned as green restaurant, or if some restaurant is getting this much points, then it will be assigned as yellow or red? Are there points, or on what
Now, the
basis?
cutoff points is for total. Of course, that could be interesting to see if, for example, in some specific points, you can have, for example, a restaurant with 0 points in some sections and be considered green if it accomplishes the maximum puntuation in the other points. This can be one of the limitations, of course, of applying of this tool. We try to divide it in these three sections, but of course, then for the establishment of green, yellow, or red, it is based on the total punctuation. So we have these three sections, but can be discrepancies, of course, in the punctuations between these sections. But even if you have a green label, this doesn't mention you accomplished with everything that is supposed to be considered the most right sustainable practice. Even if you have green, the green means that you have a score of at least 75% of positive responses, of positive check responses in the checklist, but you're still missing on 25. So we are missing this 25%. So you can even get better results, and that is an objective in the next evaluation period, to get better results. If I reach 75, I want to reach 80. I want to reach 85 until I can complete the maximum punctuation of the 100%. So yes, that is true.
And sir, are there any results that the restaurant once got 75 or 80%?
No.
Then after that, the results were degraded and it came from green to red or yellow, anything? like that results?
It can happen. In this study, we just evaluated in one moment, and we didn't obtain any green results. So all the restaurants who are assessed under the 75%, we have almost half non-sustainable. It means less than 40%, and another 50%, 47% in the yellow. So we didn't have any positive result of 75 or higher percentage. But of course, the results can vary, even higher or lower results in the second or third moment of evaluation. Yes, of course, it can happen. That is important also. That is one of the reasons it is important to keep evaluating and the same establishments to keep them in high standards and
Like they
with
can feel that, oh, I got 75 or 85 as, and I am in sustainable restaurant, so now I can do whatever I want. In the next evaluation we will be upgrading our quality or something
yes, but
like
that
that.
is not that is not the goal. That is not the idea. Of course, they can think on that. I'm good, so I don't need to take care more about this. But that is not true, because if you relax, if you not pay attention to this, you can, of course, you can get lower results in the next in the next evaluation time. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for that insightful presentation on the GRASS tool, a truly innovative approach towards evaluating sustainability in the restaurant sector. The idea of using traffic light indicators to classify restaurants based on their eco-friendly practices not only simplifies understanding but also inspires responsible choices both for consumers and service providers. The session beautifully highlighted how sustainability in food services goes beyond menus. It's about mindful management of resources, social responsibility, and long term environmental impact. It's truly thought provoking to see how such models can guide us toward a greener, more accountable food system for the future. With that enriching session, it's now time to recharge ourselves as well. Let's take a break and head for lunch. We'll reconvene after the break for the next engaging session. Thank you.